All right, everybody, here we go again. Episode 22 of the wonderfully famous or getting famous.
How do you like that one, Jake? You like our
I love that creativity at its finest.
That's Brandon. That's Brandon himself. That's Brandon Jones' own voice.
That's not AI.
It's creative genius, everyone.
Yes, creative
Creative
genius. Exactly. I like it.
Out of the bald dome as well.
I'm a fan.
Welcome to the show, guys. We have the one, the only Jake Peacock. Welcome. We are extremely excited to have you on. Jake just signed another contract with One. And he's been a star out there. He killed it on his last one. I mean, I think he wowed the audience pretty well. Dominant performance at One FC. Tell us about that. How did that go? How was your experience on One FC?
It was fantastic. Got treated really well. Thailand was amazing. My first time there as well. So I had about 10 days before the fight and then a couple of days after, and it was just it was a great reception.
Nice,
obviously
man.
getting to fight in on One Championship in Lumpini Stadium as well. And what a stacked card it was, man. What a stacked card it was. It was
and you were part of that stack, right? Like this is a lot of people come out to see you fight. I think sometimes, I think in the beginning, I think you were underestimated. And I think that was squashed real quick. I think it's time to give you some real competition. You are one of the best fighters in the world, in my opinion. And I think you're going to prove that coming up here maybe this year.
November.
What are your hopes for moving? What are your hopes for One FC? What are your plans? What do you hope to achieve?
I want to take one fight at a time, but I want to dominate all my fights as I always go to. I'm either finishing or I'm dominating. That's what I'm setting out to do, one fight at a time. But I do want to call out a top 10 name after this next fight. I wanted it for this next fight. I'm ready for a top 10.
Can we get the scoop? Who are you going to call out? I want to know.
I don't have any names right now. I just want a top 10. Anyone in the top 10.
Give me anyone in the top 10.
Give me a ranked fighter. I want
to test fighter. All right. I like that. I mean, I think you've earned it. You've been on a win streak, dominating win streak. Tell us a little bit about your history. If you guys don't know, Jake comes from a lineage of champions. His dad's famous footballer out of the UK. And how was that? Like growing up with a famous dad? That had to have inspired you to become the man you are today. Like that's a great man. That's a lot of shoes to fill. You know what I mean? Gavin Peacock. And go ahead, tell us about that.
Yeah, big time. My granddad too. My granddad, before my dad, played 500 games at the highest level. And then my dad himself, he played for the likes of Chelsea and Newcastle and many other teams in the Premier League. So I knew what professionalism was about. I knew what it took, and my dad was inspiring in that way. And also, he always stayed grounded, always stayed level-headed, down to earth. So I learned a lot from him, how to be a professional and how to handle myself as a professional as well.
Amazing. I mean, when I met him out there, I was like, man, he's very down to earth, very cool. Like, you expect a name like that. Sometimes, they're a little bit, but he is not that, very down to earth guy, very personable, easy to talk to. And it was really cool to kind of chat for a couple minutes with him. And out in the UK, took a picture with the lineage of all the men. That was a really cool picture to see. Now we're here to talk about, obviously we want to get to know your story, but we also want to, a debated topic. And on this show, we try to, kind of talk about controversial topics and, have an open discussion about it. And one of the things that, it was interesting because I put a poll out there about, does traditional martial arts background help or hurt a Muay Thai career or a Muay Thai fighter's ability to learn? And I know that you come from a traditional background. I actually met your coach in England. Really great guy. And he was in the corner with me, I think, for that fight. Tell us about your background and how you started in martial arts and how you came to be today, where you are today.
Yeah, I started in sport karate at the age of 7. Started competing at 10, and that's very much touch contact, all points. There is very little contact, right? No contact to the head, all touch, and then to the body you can punch a little bit harder. But very much like a taekwondo feel, in and out, fast paced, quick. They stop it as soon as a point is scored, break you, you go again. And then I wanted something more, because to me it just wasn't enough for me. I wanted something, I didn't know what I wanted, but I wanted something more full contact. So I moved into Kyokushin karate, and that's full contact, but no punches to the head. You can kick to the head, full tilt, knee to the head, but no punches to the head. Bare knuckle, punch to the body, kick to the legs.
And it's bare knuckle, I think, in Japan too. Or it's a bare knuckle to the body punches, and it's full contact. If you guys don't know what Kyokushin looks like,
it's wicked, man. It's wicked. It got me really hard. And then I wanted something more, and I found Muay Thai. I found kickboxing, Muay Thai, and started training Muay Thai and kickboxing when I was like 18, and now I'm 31.
Wow. Okay. And so, how did you transition into Muay Thai? Like, did you? So here, like, did you have a pretty extensive amateur career, or did you? How did that go about?
I probably had about 80 bouts in between sport karate and full contact Kyokushin karate. I traveled the world for Kyokushin. I went to the worlds in Japan. Traveled around Canada. Went to the US and competed. So I had like a karate experience, competition experience as an amateur. And then when I transitioned to Muay Thai, I only had 3 amateur fights before I went pro.
Amazing.
So a bit of a weird one, but
it's actually very impressive. And
it's actually not even surprising. You take a look at some of his fights, the confidence, you can see it come right through the camera.
Right.
And it makes sense with all that ring experience, and you're dealing with traveling, and what that does, just being in a different environment, living out of hotel rooms and eating strange food.
Yeah.
And that's something you've been used to since you were a kid.
Yeah.
And especially having a parent as being a pro athlete, like this is just made for you. No wonder you just make it look so easy.
He does. He makes it look really easy. That's no easy feat to start with only 3 amateur Muay Thai bouts and go right into pro and dominate. I mean, dominate from the beginning. That's something to be said. That a lot of people hold back on going pro, and when you're there, you're there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you have 3 amateur fights or 60 amateur fights. When you're at the level, you're at the level, and he's clearly at the level, right? He's fighting at the highest level in the sport right now. There's really not, the best of the best is at 1FC when it comes to Muay Thai.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's still dominating. It's really, really impressive. And do and so the question goes, like, that experience with your traditional, with the Kyokushin, with traditional karate, and that obviously had an influence in your pro career. Is that correct?
Yeah. And your question of like, do I think it helps or hinders Muay Thai? I think it's a bit of both, and it depends on who you are, and it depends on how you take it. So, like, for example, there's a lot of things that are really bad, that people pick up bad habits from traditional karate, taekwondo, all of this, and try and bring it into Muay Thai, and it doesn't fly, because Muay Thai is a real hard sport, and like, you don't have those foundations right, you're gonna get caught slipping, and it's gonna be bad for you. But there are aspects of every sport I think you can take into Muay Thai, whether it's the mindset, whether it's the traveling around, like you were saying, right? Getting used to that traveling. And then technique-wise, maybe it's the speed or the whip of the kick, right?
Yeah, you have a gnarly high kick. I mean,
Yeah, probably from
very
karate. Yeah. Like Kyokushin karate made me really bodily hard, like really strong and hard, and gave me a really strong mentality and never give up attitude, which is seen in Muay Thai a lot. Muay Thai fighters are hard fighters. They're gritty, they're grindy, they got some mentality to them, and I took that from Kyokushin karate 100%.
It's clear. It's clear when you fight. I mean, one of the fights I cornered you. I remember he walked out of the hotel room, and he was like, "When I come back in here, I'm gonna have a belt around my waist."
Yeah.
I was like, "Holy shit!" Like this guy, like he, like like manifests it.
Yeah,
And traditional karate really does, any kind of traditional martial arts really does drive home, the importance of having self-confidence, having that ability to hyper focus on a task and achieve it. I come from a traditional background. I was black belt in Taekwondo. I trained with the Olympic team for quite a bit. Trained with big names in Taekwondo, and it took me through. I mean, I mean, there's things outside of Muay Thai that it helps me through in my life, and even in the sports I'm doing now, the triathlons, different intense sports where quitting's not really an option in my head, because it's just been driven home for so many years that you just kind of find a way. It's your story is very unique in the Muay Thai world, whereas most people have, to get to levels that you've gotten, they'll, they have to fight well into, 100 amateur fights, 50 to 100 amateur fights to get to your level, and you've achieved it so quickly, and been so dominant. It's it's just impressive in my and I always thought that that warrants a conversation, right?
Yeah.
Is there what are some of the techniques in Kyokushin that you use in Muay Thai that's highly effective?
The kicks, like a little more Japanese style. There's a little more whip to the kicks, especially the low kicks. If you watch Japanese kickboxing, K1, like that style of kick, like K1 was derived from Kyokushin karate. That's where it originated, Kyokushin karate, and then K1 kickboxing, Japanese kickboxing was created from that. It's derived from Kyokushin, if I'm not mistaken. So you see very similar kicks. A lot of those K1 guys, they would have grown up in Kyokushin karate. So big time the kicks. The punches are crap. Punches are crap.
Think your punches are crap?
No, not mine. Not mine.
Well, I was gonna say, man, I felt so low those punches.
I've spent a lot of time on my boxing. I'm saying Kyokushin punches generally like a crap.
Different.
Yeah, it's different. You're punching all to the body, and they're short little punches. It's effective for Kyokushin.
They're more like a setup punches for the kicks.
For the kicks, yeah, for head kick knockouts. And the whole point of Kyokushin karate is to break the will of the opponent. Yeah. So, for example, it's a one round, 3 minutes. So each fight is 1 round, 3 minutes. And let's say you hit me with a leg kick or a body shot, and I went like that. That's a point. That's a warning. You do this again, that's fight's over.
No kidding.
You got poker face. This is why the Japanese and the Russians are so good. They're always on the world stage in Kyokushin because it requires a great deal of composure and poker face.
That's very similar in Muay Thai. It's very similar in Muay Thai. I didn't actually know that. Yeah. That wincing will lose you a point.
Done. Yeah, for sure. And you get 2 and you're done. And then if you take a knee for more than a second, fight's over. Yeah, it's pretty ruthless. So you got to have a poker face. You got to be tough bodily, and yeah,
that's definitely something I feel like you transpose into the Muay Thai, into your Muay Thai scene. I mean, I haven't actually seen a lot of Kyokushin transition into kickboxing very well, but I haven't seen people transition from Kyokushin into Muay Thai, which I'm surprised because they are very actually similar in style. The way that they throw that low kick, and I've watched some Kyokushin, I've watched a lot of it. It is ruthless. It is like bare knuckle, as hard as you can to the chest. Low kicks as hard as you can. High kicks, I mean, some of the high kicks.
Yeah, wild.
You know, I would like to see that. What's that cartwheel high kick that they do one in Kyokushin too? But it's different than the Sanchai kick because it is like it's a jump, right?
Yeah, it's wicked. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Maybe that's one. Maybe that's one for the books one of these days when you're winning the fight really good. You throw that backflip kick or whatever that is.
I'll pull it out. Pull it out
of the back pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think it's really cool. Like that transition. Do you so if you guys don't know, and I'd like to discuss a little bit about having your arm, right? Like, so that is, do you feel like that sometimes is a disability, or is that sometimes something that you can use as an advantage? Because I know that people come at you like, oh yeah, just kick them on that side. They just kick them on that. I see it all the time, and they try it and it just fails miserably. What is your strategy when it comes to that? Like, people have to be looking at you a little bit differently when it comes to that.
For sure. Do I see it as a disability or an advantage? I've never seen myself in a disability or a disadvantage ever. I don't even use the word disability because disability means unable, like disability, unable to do something, and I'm able to do whatever I've wanted to do in life. I'm able to do, except for the obvious, like write with your right hand. Well, I don't have a right hand, so I can't write with my right hand.
But you can write.
Is it an advantage? The only advantage it poses is my opponent wouldn't have really trained with someone like me. That would be the only advantage. As far as these people on Instagram and social media that are never happy, whether I win or lose, no one's happy.
I love it.
It's either, oh, this guy's at a disadvantage, why are you fighting him? Or this guy's got an advantage. How have I got an advantage, man? What are you talking about? Like, it doesn't even make sense. No one's happy ever. This world, people complain whether you win or lose. People are going to complain.
Yeah, they're never going to be
moan about. But yeah, it's not an advantage. But to me, it's not a disadvantage either. I get in there. I've never seen myself at a disadvantage. Again, mentality, right? Just mentality. And I'm going in there, and I'm never going in there with a 50-50 mindset. I'm going in there with 100 and nothing.
Right.
And that works in my favor a lot. And I got creative, right? I have to be creative, definitely. But yeah, it's a lot of things mixed together that produces that.
I've seen, I'll be honest, in the clinch, I think that it's an advantage. I have seen people try to control that arm, and it hurts people. I think your last fight, you caught that guy pretty good. Really good. And I think one of my guys too was clinching with you, and I was like, man, he is incredibly strong. Like, I could not control him. Yeah. And it's hard to when you don't have that elbow to control the inside. Right. It's really like I've noticed that, like, you hurt people with that arm. Yeah, sure. Clinch. One of the fights that you fought in Indiana, I remember that was also like you got him pretty good. And you also got him with that body shot. I remember that was another thing that,
and he was a big clincher. That's all he was looking for as well.
He was trying to drown you in the clinch.
Yeah, that's right. Those were the words. We drowned him.
And we drowned him. That's right. That's right. He was a pretty big guy too.
So Jake, I wanna ask you a little bit about the haters, right?
The what? Sorry.
The haters.
Yeah.
So we can talk all day long about the success, right? And all the hard work that shows up today, and we can celebrate that. And at least this panel, we see it and we love it. That's why you're on the show. Take me back to the first day you walked into that Muay Thai gym.
First day?
Day one, Jake.
I can't even remember.
Take me back to the looks, the talk, the whispers. What?
Yeah.
Before you were the one. Before you were the one.
Yeah. Before I was the one. People in the martial arts community, the Muay Thai community especially, they're good people. They're nice people. You know what I mean? Like, people are helpful, understanding. So there wasn't much of like the looks and that, like you would get in like a more secular environment, like, or different sports, right? Because I just find people a little more respectful in Muay Thai, for the most part. But maybe I definitely felt underestimated by the coach. You know, he probably was like, oh, this guy, you know, wants to fight. Well, we'll see, kind of thing. How's that going to work? But I've lived with this. People underestimate me all the time. People still underestimate me. And I'm setting out to prove everyone wrong. And I've never stopped doing that.
Now you must, you know, because you're so unique, I bet that there's a lot of back and forth that happens when you're working with the coach. And in a way, you're kind of teaching them how to be a better coach because of your unique ability.
Yeah, you definitely got to think differently for sure. You got to use some creativity.
Yeah, I had a student that also was missing her entire arm. She didn't have her entire left arm. Do you remember that when I messaged you about her?
Yeah.
And, you know, I was like, man, she, because she was like, I don't think I'll ever be able to compete. And I was like, whoa. And then I showed her a video of you competing. And it literally, like, it changed her. As actually when she signed up. Because when she saw that video, she was like, oh, I actually can do this. And I was like, no, you can't do this. I'm excited to train you to do this. Yeah. She signed up. It was her and her daughter. And she wanted to show her daughter that, you know, mom can do anything. And I think she was a single mom. And it was really cool. Like, how you must have a lot of people that you inspire. Do you have any stories like that, you know, you inspire people to, you know, push beyond?
Hundreds of messages, man. It's quite amazing. It's been amazing the last few years. I woke up and drove to the gym to work the other month, and I just had a dad reach out, message me. His daughter was born with one hand, just like mine, and how he was very depressed at first, didn't know what to do, was lost, and I was a source of inspiration. Now he sees that the sky's the limit for her, kind of thing. Like, nice messages like this. I'm driving to work at 6 a.m. and I see this, like, from somebody in England or somebody in Brazil, like all over the world. It's incredible. And I'm glad, you know, my story can inspire people, and not just people, you know, missing a limb, but like everyone, like, you know, everyone's got obstacles. Whether mental, physical, you know, whether you beat yourself up from a loss, or whether you don't have the motivation to get in the gym, right? These kinds of things, like, there's no excuses. Be about it. Look, be about it. Don't talk about it. That's the shirt, man. That's the saying. That's the slogan around here.
Yeah, man.
How about piggybacking off that, though? How about who inspired you originally to?
I got lots of inspiration. Yeah, I got lots of inspiration. My granddad and my dad, for sure. Different fighters, different athletes. My faith in God as well is a big play in my life. Yeah, take my inspiration from lots of different people.
Who are some of the fighters that, you know, you came up looking up to?
Borkow.
Borkow.
Oh yeah, he was my number one.
Have you met him yet?
I haven't. No, I haven't. And now in recent years, like the last 5 years, it's been Superlek and Pech Pamaran.
Oh,
I trained with him as well. Me and him have got fairly close. Him and his coach Adrian, we're good friends now, and they just live in Vancouver, right? Like 12-hour drive away. So I go down there now and again. They come up here, so I've got a good relationship with them. And Superlek's Superlek's the man.
Superlek's the badass dude.
Man,
he's the man.
He FaceTimed me. I was cornering some fights in town, and Petch was there. And Petch says, "Jake, come over here. Someone wants to talk to you." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I come over." I walk over, and he turns the phone to me. It's Superlek. And Superlek's saying hi to me. He started following me and that. I was like, yes, got the respect of the king.
Maybe one day you guys are going to be fighting each other.
Hey, I said that to him. I looked at the camera. I said, "I love you, man, but hey, I'm not going to get too close because I'd love to fight you one day."
You're at the top.
I love you. You're the man, but I want to fight you one day. I'm not fanboying no one. I walked into one championship. I'm in a room with Marat Gregorian sitting next to me for the rules meeting.
Oh.
Superbon on my right, Sexan on my left. You got all these Thai legends in there. I'm not taking pictures with no one, man. I'm in here to fight with you guys.
You're also up there in that legendary status,
bro. I'm coming for it. I'm coming to put a dent in this. I'm coming to put mark my name on the walls everywhere.
So I have to ask you, because I always ask fucking questions that I'm curious about. I've had a conversation with you about Baxter Humby and your thoughts on what you think his legacy, and is that something that did you come up looking up to him or looking at him for inspiration, or how do you feel about Baxter? Because he is definitely one of the people that paved the way, in that respect.
I didn't know about him till a couple years into training Muay Thai, and I've probably watched one fight of his once.
What'd you think?
All the respect in the world to him. He paved the way. He's the first guy, I think, probably the first guy to do it.
He's WBC. National, I think he was the national champion for WBC.
Yeah,
I don't remember if it was world or national.
I think it was national, maybe. I'm not sure. But personally, and I just didn't like his style. I think it looked sloppy, right? But I don't like a lot of people's style. I'm very finicky and calculated with who I like, right? Which is why I like people like Superlek or Petch. They're clean looking, you know what I mean? Everything's clean.
And you fight the same way. It's very precise.
I fight the same way. So it's nothing personal. It's just I don't prefer his style.
Nice. I mean, there you go. It doesn't always have to be, oh, this guy is just like me. It's not, and I think you've elevated, that level of Muay Thai, your own style, because it isn't the traditional Muay Thai style. Your kicks are a little bit different.
Yeah.
Like you said, they're highly accurate high kicks, and they come out of nowhere. A lot of these shots that you throw, I wasn't expecting a high kick to come, and all of a sudden it's there. Pow! It's right in your head. It's very hard to kind of read. Jake, so I think we can deduce that, I think traditional martial arts has a lot of benefits. I know coming up from Taekwondo that, there are certain things, once I got through the hurdle of the bad habits, right? The hands dropping, the kind of staticky light shots. Once you get the hurdle, there's a lot of positives that you can pull from traditional martial arts backgrounds that can actually help you. Like my footwork, compared to Muay Thai, was very complex, and Kyokushin has very similar, it's very complex footwork. And then point sparring, point fighting is extremely, you have to be extremely accurate, extremely fast. It's not something that they really train in Muay Thai. It's not something they develop high levels of speed and accuracy. It's more about high levels of power and damage.
And hey, you're looking at one championship and then small gloves, and the Westerners are coming over and they're beating the Thais because of the footwork, the boxing, the Western boxing. A lot of the English guys are giving it to the Thais now because they can't keep up with that footwork, in and out kind of thing, like traditional karate, right? In my opinion, it's working well, especially with the small gloves.
Yeah, you see a lot of the Thais. Sometimes it turns into just a big old boxing brawl.
Does.
I've seen quite a bit of these fights, and there's a lot of fighters now that would say that the traditional Thai stadium style rules or stadium style fight, right, is kind of like a Disonoy in 1FC wouldn't have done very well.
Yeah.
Because he was be able to rely on keeping everybody away and keeping that kind of long, lengthy style, jab, body kicks a lot, where these fights, they're high paced, they're aggressive, they're only 3 rounds, some of them 5 rounds.
Yeah. And
you have to hit hard, exclusively with the hands.
Yeah.
As those things hurt just as well as the knees, pretty.
They score it all the same. Punches score the same as low kicks, as body kicks. Whoever's doing damage.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I like that it kind of shakes up things a little bit.
Yeah.
The traditional style is great, um, but a lot to the lay person, to the person that's never seen Muay Thai, when they see a stadium fight, it's interesting, but they always have questions like, why are they quitting in the 5th round?
Right.
Why don't they go hard in the 1st round?
Right.
You know, and you have to tell this entire story about the gamblers and blah 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 blah. And you know, I think that ONE FC kind of did away with all of that. There is no gambling. There is none of that nonsense of, you know, oh, we're just gonna touch gloves, and they fight to the end, and they're incentivized to fight to the end.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So tell us about your next fight and who you're fighting. Do you know who you're fighting? And can you?
I know who I'm fighting. I can't say who I'm fighting.
Okay.
But I am fighting in 4 months. Yeah, I'll be fighting in the US.
In the US? Is it
Yes.
gonna be in Colorado?
It's gonna be in Atlanta.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The Joe Nottawa and
Joe Nottawa
Tawan Chai. And I don't know, the main event is that MMA guy. It's the MMA fight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a big card. It's a massive card. It's at the State Farm Arena. I have a bunch of people already coming out. They've already booked tickets.
I might have to come out and watch, because that's something I'd like to see live. I didn't know it was in Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a couple shows locally here for the Colorado show that I won't be able to make.
Yeah.
Colorado show, but I'll definitely come out for. And what is that? That's in 4 months. What is that, in November?
November, yeah.
Wow. Do you know the date of that show?
Yeah, November 8th.
November 8th.
Yeah.
All right, you guys heard it right here, November 8th.
Yeah.
You gotta catch Jake Peacock, the one, the legend, living legend, right? Who's who's like the ultimate fight that you would like if you had anybody that you would want to compete against, like who would you want to fight?
Yeah, probably someone like Superleg.
You'd want to fight Superleg?
Yeah, just because like he's my favorite, right?
And you see how you stand up to a level of that caliber. I think you're up there in that caliber. That would be an interesting fight.
Yeah.
Superleg, you listen.
One day.
It's all games, it's all fun and games till you're in there with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, Jake, I just want to say thank you for joining us.
Hey, I want to ask one question real quick
Go
before
for
we go. We don't get to get into this a lot, and something that I've found, you know, like your it's on your Instagram, right? That's Christ's your life and Chris does your wife,
nice
right?
One, nice one. Yeah.
Can you tell us like your testimony story? Would that be too personal?
No, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I'm happy to share that. I was raised in a Christian home, but I didn't take that faith as my own until I was 18 years old. Finished high school, went to university. It was a Christian university. And, you know, I struggled a lot with my identity growing up. Growing up with one hand, you know, comments, bullying, nothing ever physical or one-time physical, and I stopped that right away. Couple jabs, done. But never physical bullying, but, you know, like the looks, the making fun, the comments. As you see on some of my posts now, like people are like crazy. Like people just go off. Like you wouldn't even believe how rude people can be. So, you know, I struggled with my identity quite a lot as a kid, as a young man. Like even in university, like, you know, people underestimate me, not thinking I can do this and that. And, so that affected me a lot. And I realized like I'm not taking my identity in God. God is unchanging. Christ is unchanging. So I committed my life to Christ, and it changed everything. Everything changed like that day. Everything changed for me. My confidence wasn't in myself. It wasn't in how I fight. It wasn't even how I perform, win, lose. It wasn't in what I do in life, what I look like. It was in Christ. And ever since then, you know, my confidence changed, my passions changed, right? I have a priority. My order is God first, then my family, and then fighting, right? Instead of having fighting as my God. When fighting was my God, you know, everything rode on fighting. If I got injured, boom, I crumple. You know what I mean? Like if I couldn't fight again, I'd be lost. If back then, you know what I mean? If I got injured, if I lost a fight, whatever, like it would be the end of the world. That's why you see a lot of people go into depression after their fight career. They don't have anything else in life. And I found it in Christ. I found it in God. God is unchanging. So that's a short version of my testimony. And, you know, my whole life revolves around that. Every decision I make, everything I do is intentional towards Christ and to glorify him. And I feel like I've been gifted by God, and very uniquely. I'm born with one hand, but I'm fighting on the world stage in a sport where you would think the guy has to have two hands. But God has equipped me with an incredible mindset and really unique skills to be able to compete against people with two arms and two legs and just absolutely dominate.
That's right.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, man.
Yeah,
I know that's
pleasure.
personal, and I was just, you know, I know it's a big piece of who you are. So I
Yeah,
want
it's
to
a massive piece. I appreciate you for asking that. Appreciate that.
Of course.
Awesome. I mean, any last words, Jake? I mean, it's kind of hard to beat what you just said there. That'll be a really great spot to end on. But do you have any last words? Any final thoughts on pretty much anything?
Just keep watching, keep tuning in. I've never been wrong. I'm trying to prove myself, and I will continue to prove myself. I'll continue to fight whoever is put in front of me. I've never turned down a fight. I never will. I wanted a top 10 name for this next fight. It's not necessarily a top 10 name, but the next fight after that, I want a top 10 name. I want to start testing myself and leaving no doubt for the haters. But hey, keep hating because it fuels me. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm here to stay, man. I'm here to stay, God willing.
I love it.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward
Thanks
to
for
watching
having
the
me.
fight again. This is going to be, man, it's always fireworks when he fights. It doesn't matter who he fights.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Fireworks. Thanks for joining us. And if you want to tune in next week, we are going to have Byron Brown. Byron Brown, lawyer extraordinaire. He's actually fought pro fight not too long ago, and we're gonna be talking about all things legal when it comes to the fight world. There's some interesting questions. You know, I'm gonna leave the door open for people if they want to ask some questions, not about your own personal injuries, okay, but you know, stuff that has to do with Muay Thai. You know, I personally have questions, you know, about the Muhammad Ali Act and conflict of interest and how that's, you know, there's a lot of sanctioning bodies out there that's, you know, putting on events. That sounds like a conflict of interest to me, but apparently it's not. But I'm going to ask him all these questions and see what we come up with. So join us next week. What is that? July 16th at 7 p.m. MST. Jake, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
And I will be catching you soon.
Yes, brother. All right, guys. Take care.
Take care. Thank you.